Hey, Miss Nat.
Yes.
We're going to talk to our YouTube viewers today. Most people know we're always saying there's what?
Always options.
Always options, that's right. And if somebody's considering Vietnam as an option, because maybe they can't comply with something or they want to change or whatever, we're going to talk about the upsides and downsides of both Thailand and Vietnam. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. Check this out. So we're always trying to get people from where they are now to where they want to be. And it's basically, the big picture is about retirement, that they have more life for less money. And you haven't ever been to the United States or Australia or the UK, but it's expensive there. And there's a lot of things happening socially that just make it, I think, better to live in Southeast Asia. And our channel is retirecheap.asia, not .vietnam. So I want to help you all to understand what I think and Nat thinks are the differences between Thailand and Vietnam. And we'll talk about that. And this is subjective. This is Nat's opinion about some of these things might be different than mine. My opinions might be different with yours. So I'm not here to debate with somebody, oh, it's up to you. This is the way I see it, and Nat sees it, and your mileage may vary. You know, everybody's got an opinion. So I'm going to talk about Thailand and Vietnam. We're going to talk about what I see as the upsides, the pros, and the cons of Thailand, and then the upsides, the pros, and the cons of Vietnam. And it's up to somebody to decide whether they want to check out Vietnam or they prefer Thailand or what. It's funny. When we first started coming to Vietnam, and we'd be here like a month, people would say, when are you going to get back to Thailand? Stop with this Vietnam stuff. Now with the requirements, and this is why I say you always have to have a plan B. And so with the changes now, people are saying, I want more information about Vietnam. And so that's what we're doing. And week or so ago, we put up a video, and I talked about, it was actually a member site video that I shared with YouTube about getting driver's licenses and bank accounts and finding homes and apartments and things like that. And I talked about getting a driver's license. You can get a driver's license for Vietnam for the duration of your long-term visa. If you have a long-term visa, you can open up a bank account if you have an address. And so those are some of the things. One of the things I mentioned in the previous video was that you couldn't get your Social Security check from America direct deposited into a Vietnam bank. And that is incorrect. I was incorrect about that. It used to be that way. But now you can direct deposit your Social Security check from America into a Vietnam bank. So let's talk about the upsides and downsides. We'll talk about Thailand first, right? What's good about Thailand is, now Nat has traveled to a few countries, so she can understand some of these things. The first thing that I see as an upside about Thailand is the infrastructure. And I've said over the years that now a lot of people have money in Thailand, plus you have a lot of foreigners living there. And so what's available as far as things, products, and services, stuff that you want to have done for you, has increased. And so now, God, we go shopping at some of the stores in Chiang Mai and Hue An and Bangkok that are stores for
everything.
They have everything for the wealthy Thais that have money now want to eat Western food and things like that. And the foreigners want some comfort food. And so all those products are available. Now I used to have people bring over like the sauce. Nat loves the sriracha sauce from America, and she puts it on omelets, and we put it in the soup actually in Vietnam when we're here, and we love it, but we couldn't get it, and I had members bring it over for me, and now we can buy that in Thailand.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, they have sriracha sauce in Vietnam, but it's not the same. We can get that exact brand in Thailand now. That's cool. So you have all this infrastructure, and I don't just mean that, but I mean jacuzzi tubs. If you were going to remodel a house, now you have jacuzzi tubs, or what do they call the shower? Rain showers, you know, all this stuff. Everything is available now in Thailand. There's very little that you can't get there. So when I first moved to Thailand, it was a big leap to come live in Thailand. Infrastructure like internet and things like that weren't so good. There weren't a lot of choices in hospitals back then, but now the medical care, and we'll get to that in a second, but all the services and things you want are now available. So it's a small step to go live in Thailand from Western countries. So that's one thing I think is good about Thailand. It makes it easier. But again, whether it's good or bad is up to you. Some people might say, well, I don't want all that stuff. I don't need it. Well, that's cool. I just want to say it's available if you wanted it. The other thing is the healthcare. I just mentioned that. The medical in Thailand is, people come from all over the world.
Yeah.
It's the #1 medical tourism destination in the world where people come from all over. We have members and people that come, and they actually, their dental work, they want to get work done on their teeth, and they can actually come to Thailand, spend a month, get all the work done, and go home cheaper, and get a vacation in Thailand cheaper than they could get it done in their home country. And so the medical care, and I have insurance, medical insurance that covers me in Thailand at the best hospitals, and Vietnam as well. And so my medical insurance will cover me here, and I have the option to go to those hospitals, and I have a deductible, and I'll try and remember to put a link in case people are interested in that, and it's only $126 a month. For $126 a month, I couldn't buy a box of Band-Aids in America. I don't think plaster, you know. Anyway, the healthcare is another upside. People in Thailand. What am I going to say about the people? Remember, I'm talking about the pros now. The people in Thailand are just incredible. They're always generous and smiling, and some people say, well, it's not real. They just smile because they're trained to do that. They always do that. And it's like, well, I'd much rather, even if it wasn't real, I'll take the smile over the looks that you get in America that are real, and they're snarls. Why are you talking to me? Why are you looking at me? And that's just my experience that I've had when I go home, and I can talk to strangers in Thailand, and everybody's friendly. So that to me is an upside.
But they're just shy ฝรั่ง
Yeah, they're shy. Yeah, they're shy. And this is the thing when we get to the language. The other thing is the society. It's a Buddhist society. And so I've spent time in Brazil and Central America and other places around Asia and Southeast Asia, the Philippines, where it's a Christian-based society. And it's different than the Buddhist society. And so I prefer the Buddhist way over some of the other ways, just how it affects society. So that to me is an upside as well. And you'll see when you go to other countries that aren't Buddhist, you know, that it's a little bit different. I forget what the percentage is of Buddhists in Vietnam, but it's not real high. It's not like Thailand. So what was the other one? The costs and the value in Thailand compared to the West is just amazing. What you can get now for your money. It's still, you know, things have increased in price, you know, it's not as cheap as it used to be, but it's still compared to back in the West. And the thing, inflation has happened in Thailand, but it's also happened in the West. So as things get more expensive in Thailand, it's proportional because things get more expensive in the West. So it's still a great value in Thailand.
Expensive about the car or something.
Yeah. And remember, having said that it's less expensive, anything that average Thai people aren't going to use, like going to buy a car or a jacuzzi tub, or running the air conditioning all day. It's going to cost some money. Yeah, a condominium. These are going to be expensive. So, and same with the foods. The imported foods are going to be more expensive. I know people can spend more money in Thailand than they do back home. But if you live very simply and choose Thai products over foreign products, it's going to be inexpensive. So I think it's still a great value. The food.
Great. Good.
Great. I think personally, I think it's one of the tastiest cuisines in the world. We will talk about the Vietnamese food. I liked the Brazilian food when I was in Brazil. It's good. There's a lot of good food. Some of the Central American dishes and cuisines are okay. But Thai, I think, is one of the best just because of the flavors and the ingredients, the herbs and spices. And it's great. I love it. And it's a good value. And I can cook it good. And because I cook it, we know what oils go in and vegetables and all this stuff. But I think it's a great cuisine. So the food and the flavors. And the climate, the temperature. If people come from a cold climate, then the climate in Thailand is going to be great. The warmth. We have some members that come and we're going, oh, it's hot. And they're going, no, it's not hot enough. I love it. I love it. And so if you like warm weather, the climate is a plus. It's a pro. And as far as the negative side of Thailand, this has changed over the last few years. So immigration regulations and complying with those have become more difficult, especially for some people. There's still the hassle, like the 90-day reporting if you're on a long-term visa, but I can do that online. It takes me about 10 minutes, not an issue. So I don't have to go to the immigration office every 90 days. So that's not an issue for me. But I understand for some people it is. And the other thing is I have the money to comply to the requirements, the 800,000. So to me that's not an issue. I go to immigration, once a year and get my visa. Takes about an hour, something like that, and done. Finished. So to me that's not a big hassle. Now when they're talking about these things like the TM30 reporting when you travel around and stuff, and possibility of having that mandatory insurance, even though I have it, I can understand where those are some issues that people are worried about. And there's a petition going around that people are signing about this thing about reporting where you are. It's funny. They have a regulation that any time you leave your house for more than 24 hours, you're supposed to go tell the police where you are, report. And people are going, why? To me, it doesn't make any sense either, because the bad people aren't going to go tell the police where they're at. So it only affects the good people. So it doesn't make sense to me. But I understand these are issues for the people. Okay. The difficulty in the language for foreigners in Thailand. It's difficult for us to speak it because it's tonal language. Say the word for dog.
Ma.
How about come?
Ma.
How about horse?
Ma.
Yeah, well, this is what makes it difficult for us, the tones and being able to hear those. So the language is a little bit difficult to learn. And reading it is difficult for foreigners because of your characters that you write. It's difficult. So language is... Yeah, for her it's the same with English. Yeah, it's all relative. And so those are the downsides of Thailand. So let's now flip over to Vietnam and what we think about Vietnam. The good parts of Vietnam is the visa. I can get a 1 year, as an American, I can get a 1 year tourist visa, which is good for 60 or 90 days, I forget what. And I have to come and go after 60 or 90 days, I forget. I think it's 90 days if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I have to leave the country and come back. But I can do that for a year. There's no 90-day reporting about that or anything like that. Easy to do. And I can get that for about $140, $150, and I'm good for a year, as long as I don't stay an extended period of time each time. But then if I wanted to stay longer, I can get a business visa, 1 year. And that's it. And there's no money in the bank. I don't have to have money coming into the country, into a bank account. I don't have to report where I'm at. You can work here. So those are a lot easier for Vietnam. Okay? So those. Now, if you have a significant other, a Thai person can come for 30 days, right? Without any visa. And if she wants to stay longer than that, then I would get her a visa as well. And it's not difficult to do. And I'll put a link to the company that I recommend using. They're real easy and real accommodating. If you have any questions, there's even a live chat that pops up when you go there and they say, well, can we help you for something? Really good. So, and the 1-year business visa I can get for about I think it's all around, the whole thing would cost me about $350, something like that. And it would be done deal. I could come stay for the whole year if I wanted to. Don't worry about the banking. Now, one of the negatives we'll talk about is banking in a minute if I remember, but we'll stay on the pros for right now. So the immigration, the people here, if they're over, 30, 40 years old, they're a little bit, we call grumpy.
I think 50, 60.
Yeah, 50, 60, they're not friendly. They're not so helpful, but not all of them. Last night, the lady, we went and got hot soy milk and some things.
In Dalat different.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It depends on the city you're in as well. Yeah, that's true. But as a whole, I'd say the older people aren't as friendly. But the young people we've encountered here are really friendly, very helpful. They speak better English than the younger people in Thailand, because the younger people in Thailand, as Nat was saying, they're shy. They're afraid to make mistakes speaking. We're here, I think in their culture, they're not afraid to go try something, because they had to. To excel here, they have to go try something. And so I think that also...
They want the phone come to travel here, they really back.
Yeah, Vietnam's still hungry. All these Southeast Asian countries looked at Thailand with all the money and tourism and products, exports and all this stuff, and they said, we want some of that money. So they're still hungry. Thailand's not so hungry anymore. In fact, they're facing problems from their growth that they're trying to remedy. And that's where all these regulations and all this stuff comes in. But the people are friendly here. The young people are very helpful.
Yeah, and all the young working in the restaurant, the shop.
Yeah, well, I told Matt, I think I read a statistic that like 60% of the population in Vietnam are younger than 30 years old. Incredible how many young people are here. Matt just mentioned something about the security. This is, you can see, as an upside or downside. In Thailand, the security...
Oh man.
Well, they're older, and because of that social hierarchy, they're afraid to tell somebody to do something. They really don't do a lot. Like, they're afraid to confront people. Where in Vietnam, that's not the case. Security is secure, and it doesn't matter what age you are. They tell you to do something, they mean it. And so we're leaving a hotel the other day, and I was going down the wrong way going out.
Stop.
Yeah, they stopped right in front of me and went, stop, turn around, go back. Yeah, they're serious about their job, which is, to me, is an upside, because if you want to have security in your building or something, you want them to do their job. So that's, now the society here, like I said, they're not 100% Buddhist or a large percentage Buddhist, but the society here, like I said, the young people have been very friendly. I have felt safe. I don't feel like somebody's going to hurt me or do something. You do have to pay attention to the money. You could get ripped off, but as a whole, even the money, if I look confused, they politely reach out while I'm holding the money, and they'll take what the money is and they hold it up like this and show me, like, okay? And you go, okay, and they'll go ahead and take it. They don't snatch it out of your hand or something. I think only once we got ripped off, or twice. For the one was for the cherries, and something else, I forget what it was, but that was it, and that was sort of our stupidity. So anyway, the people of the society, the cost and value are about Thailand. Some things are what in price, more expensive.
Yeah, some in here.
But some are
too low.
Yeah, some are lower. So we found some things, products and services, are cheaper. Some things are more expensive.
The cherry is expensive.
Cherry, yeah, more those are imported, and even in Thailand they're really expensive. I was surprised to even see them here. But like, if somebody wanted to drink beer, beer is cheap here. If somebody likes cheese, cheese is expensive in Thailand, but cheaper here.
Chocolate, you're cheaper too.
Yeah, chocolate. Imported things, this is a good distinction. What I've noticed is products that are imported, they're paying less duty here so they can keep the price lower. So imported stuff seems to be cheaper here. So the value we think is great for what you get. I think the housing's a little bit more expensive because it's harder to find housing here, which would be one of the negative things. It's harder to find. Where in Thailand it's easy to find housing. Here, if it's hard to find a Vietnamese kind of place, it's usually for foreigners that they're marketing to. But it's not that expensive compared to back home. And we talked about that in our last video, what we pay for some place to stay here. The food's not expensive, right?
Yeah, not expensive.
It might be a little bit more for just the food on the street, maybe about 50 baht compared to maybe we can get something 40 baht, which is a difference of about 30 cents more here for street food or something like that. But it's good. We like the cuisine. We like the thing. We're still learning what to eat, what not to eat, right? As a whole, it's very clean here, except the only place I think it's dirty are in the little food stands in some restaurants where they have a habit, and this is the same in Cambodia as well, they have a habit of taking the tissue while they're eating and just throw it on the floor as opposed to a wastebasket.
But something I saw around the country, they clean.
That's right. You don't see people littering, and if they do litter, which they might, and we don't see it, is because there's so many workers that are being employed by the government because it's a communist country. They need to keep people working, and so there's sweepers always walking around sweeping, so it appears clean. So that's a good thing, right? The climate, if you come from someplace cold and you like warm weather, Vietnam is great. Da Nang and Hue and Hanoi, Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, all those are hot. And you got beaches, beautiful beaches here as well. And so if you come from a cold climate and you want warm, the climate's an upside as well. So all those are the good things about Vietnam. The downside is it is a communist government. You have to keep that in mind. So I've never felt threatened by it, but you have to keep that in mind. As far as the banking's concerned, you cannot take cash. I come with like Thai baht or US dollars and convert it into Vietnamese dong and then go open an account and deposit it into your bank account. They won't let you do that. If you're a foreigner, the money has to come from abroad, transferred into your Vietnam bank account. So that makes things more difficult banking. And you can still use your ATM cards here and everything, but it is a little bit more difficult if you're going to have a bank account. But they have great online banking apps and stuff. So, but banking as far as depositing money into your bank account is a little more difficult to do that. The other thing is the driving habits. I thought Thailand was crazy when it came to driving. Y'all drive good compared to here.
But Thailand, they drive fair, the car, the motorcycle, more loud.
Yeah, the distinction in that is it's less, even though they drive crazier, it actually is a little bit safer because the percentage of motorcycles here. If you get an accident, more than likely it's going to be with another motorbike, and everybody's going pretty slow on motorbikes here. It's a sea of motorbikes. So you hit it and run into somebody. The other day, some guy ran into me, and he turned around, he saw it was a foreigner. He started to be like, he saw it was a foreigner, and said, "Oh, okay, sorry, you know." Yeah. But I've seen accidents where people hit the motorbike, they fall down, they both get back up, and they go on their way. We saw a motorbike hit the back of a car. There wasn't much damage to the car. Of course, the guy in the car got out, maybe wanted money, but there was a policeman close by, walked over and went, "Nah, go." And so this is the only other thing that I see as a negative, and I'm sort of getting used to it, but that's that horn honking. They don't, and people say, well, it's better, it's good, it protects people and stuff. No, the horns are honking so much you don't know who's honking and who. It's just a cacophony of noise. So when they say, well, that's their way of saying coming through. But who's coming through? I don't know who's honking to give them the right of way. So it's not efficient to me. But I have noticed maybe this trip less horn honking. I think they're being aware that foreigners find it a little bit not so good, and maybe paying attention to that and changing their behavior. We'll see. But that's one of the other things. The other thing is lack of products. When I first moved to Thailand, I used to have members and people bring me stuff over from America. I still do. There's things I can't get. So I have them bring them over, like nutrients, things like that. But now in Thailand, there's a lot more compared to here. If we spend more time in Vietnam, we'll be going back to Thailand to buy products and fill our suitcases to bring things over that we can't get here. So the lack of products and services and stuff, and some services might be here, but they're a little more difficult to find. And speaking back of the language again, because it's a tonal language, for Thai people, when they read something that's translated from Thai into the Vietnamese word, the tones are built into what they're reading. So whether it's Google Translate or a phrase book that they can buy that's Thai to Vietnamese, when they say the word, the tones are built into the characters they're reading, so it sounds almost perfect. They think that Nat's Vietnamese. So she says something, then they rah, 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 and she has no idea what they're saying. And so that is easier, the language for Thai people to speak if you have a significant other. For us, it's still tonal language. It doesn't make a difference to us. It's still tonal, it's difficult. The upside for us, though, is the words are written in Romanized characters, the alphabet, and we're familiar with. So it's easier for us to read stuff, to memorize what words mean. So we become familiar with when we see a word, what that word means. That's easier. But it's still, the language is still a challenge. The other thing is the healthcare. We're going to go visit a hospital and see what they have, but it's not going to be anything compared to Thailand's hospitals and healthcare. I know that already. Like I said, my insurance covers me. If I got scraped up on a motorbike or something like that, or had the flu or something, I'd go to the hospital here, sure. No worries. But if I had something major, I'd go back and use my insurance in Thailand. So I just wanted to mention that to you. But that's about it. Those are the upsides and downsides that I see. Anything you want to add to that? What's better or worse about Thailand and Vietnam? What you see better in Vietnam than Thailand, or what's better in Thailand than in Vietnam?
I love them same.
She's easygoing, isn't she? Yeah. There's a lot of similarities, the same.
I meet Thailand more because my kid, my family there.
Yeah.
But as a day, I feel the same.
Yeah. Again, there's upsides and downsides to both. Nat has family there, so of course we have that connection, and it's still number one to me for most things that foreigners want and how they want to live when they retire. So don't discount Thailand as an alternative if you can comply with the visa regulations and just be patient about some of this other stuff. I think they're going to learn through their mistakes. There's a lot of feedback and petitions being signed to reevaluate some of the immigration regulations and things like that. We'll see what happens. See if they're even open to that. But I'll continue to talk more about Vietnam as an option. Remember, it's retirecheap.asia. That's right. So we're going to talk more about Vietnam as an option, but I just wanted to make this comparison and inform you that are watching as to what we feel as to being the upsides of Thailand and the upsides of Vietnam, and the downsides of Thailand and the downsides of Vietnam. So I hope it's been helpful. If you like what we do, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and think about becoming a member, because I'm totally supportive of people that are looking at Thailand as an option. There's so much information on the member site and other members to connect with, and a private Facebook group, but also that you can connect with me more personally, where I can answer one-on-one questions and maybe answer them in our weekly update video that I do every week. But anyway, hope it's been helpful. See you in the next video. Until then, JC and Nat out.
Bye.
See ya. And remember,
Always options.
that's right, always options. See ya. Hey, JC here. My goal is always to help you get from where you are now to where you want to be, which is probably a life in Thailand. And I know a lot of questions come up about all sorts of things regarding insurance and vehicles, transportation, housing, relationships, getting licenses, all that stuff. And I want to help you by answering as many questions as I can. And if I can't answer them, then I'll reach out to you personally. But I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you can click on that and be able to tell me what it is that you're interested in and what kind of information, and I'll be able to try and answer it, because I'm probably not going to be able to answer it within the YouTube comments anymore because of time constraints. It's just getting to be too much of a task to go through all the comments. So if you have a question, direct it to me. There'll be a link in the description, and I'll be back in touch with you to try and get as much relevant information to you as I can. Remember, when it comes to getting the information you need about retiring in Thailand, there's always an option. See you, JC out. Hey, JC here. If you like that video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel here. Also, we have another video up here you're going to be really interested in watching as well. And if you're looking for all the details of how to retire in Thailand in one place, plus a group of people to support you, check this out over here. Give it a click.